So I saw a list recently from Rolling Stone Japan of the top 10 artists representing Japan internationally. And as an international fan of Japanese music, I thought it was kind of a weird list. Some of them reflect what's big right now, but I think there's a lot of acts that have the potential to make J-pop into a phenomenon overseas that weren't represented there at all. So here's a list of artists who I think could take J-pop fully international, and sooner rather than later. I think a pretty obvious first mention here is Ado. For one, she has mainstream anime success. They did a whole One Piece movie based around her music. That is going to go a really long way towards getting her name out there internationally. She's been a breakout star domestically. Her debut album Kyojin, while hit or miss, has some undeniable streaming numbers and has sales numbers rarely seen outside of idol groups. She's also the #1 artist of 2022 according to Billboard Japan, which is super impressive considering she only debuted in October 2020. She's done all this with a tried and true strategy in the West, which is appealing to angsty teenagers. It's worked so many times, but mostly in rock. You don't see as many pop stars appealing to kids that way. It's more of a Green Day kind of thing. Her big breakout, Usewa, is a song all about telling your parents and really society as a whole to shut up and go fuck themselves. So it's a natural fit. The only real issue is that in contrast to her messages, a lot of her music tends to be overproduced. So is most American pop radio though, so maybe it'll work. She can kind of ride based on the strength of her voice in a lot of ways. Even if you don't speak any Japanese, you can tell that she's a fantastic singer. It's clearly her biggest strength, even when her producers are feeding her the most mid-instrumentals of all time, which they do a lot. She's trying to market herself more in the West too, not as much as some other artists, but she's getting her name out there, and that One Piece movie is a huge step. If I had to pick a song to make the leap, I wish it would be Ashura-chan, as that's easily my favorite from her, but more realistically, I think it's going to be one of the One Piece songs. New Genesis is the most popular of those, and it's a really smooth and accessible synth-pop song. Backlight is also good too, as it gives her more of a rock edge, and she really takes full advantage of it. There's absolutely potential for her to go big in America, but I think she just needs some marketing help. The next artist is another one who's being boosted up by anime, that being yoasobi. There's a key difference between them and Ado though. While Ado's instrumentals are typically very scattershot, giving you all kinds of diverse sounds and really just letting Ado showcase her voice, yoasobi has one sound. This band has like one song. I'm so serious. Yoru Kakeru was their debut, and just like Ado, their debut was also their big breakout hit. It was a super energetic and upbeat sounding pop song paired with lyrics about committing suicide. You can think of it as basically a Japanese pumped up kicks. It was super popular on the internet and with weebs, but I didn't really see any discussion of it outside of that. And also, if you listen to their debut EP, The Book, you will find that all 7 songs on that album are pretty much Yoru Kakeru, but with different lyrics. They've all got the same general sound and melodies. You could play 2 of them back to back and you'd struggle to pick out which one's the hit song. yoasobi kind of failed to live up to that level of hype afterwards, but they made some good efforts, especially with their Gundam opening. That all changed again recently as of making this with their Oshi no Ko opening, Idol. I am on record as saying that I really don't like this song, but I can't deny that it has been incredibly popular. It's been the biggest J-pop song of the year so far and has also set record numbers on Spotify, amassing the most Japanese single-day streams out of any song ever. It's way too insane to make a mainstream push, but the weebs are eating this one up. yoasobi is an artist that could get more widespread international acclaim if they manage to 1. Mix up their sound, and 2. Make their music more consistently good. They have a couple bangers, but they're hard to pick out when most of their songs sound more or less the same, and the songs tend to fall off a bit when they try to change it up. Regardless, they have a great baseline popularity and more name recognition than some of the other artists here, and that could help kickstart them. Remember when I talked about how Ado is a rising J-pop star who needs marketing help? I've got another one of those. It's Vaundy. Vaundy has been making waves with a barrage of singles and also an album, and I think he shines in part based on how accessible yet diverse his sound can be. He's got big hits in Japan. Kaiju no Hanauta was somehow topping charts 3 years after release, but it's his less popular stuff that I think could give him a gateway into America. With the city pop revival going on over the last couple years, I'm not sure how that crowd hasn't caught on to his debut song Tokyo Flash yet. That checks pretty much all the boxes you would want in a city pop revival song. It's got the soft but irresistible grooves, the energetic vocals, the super catchy chorus that gets stuck in your head. I'm honestly not sure how this isn't one of the defining songs of that movement. Even outside of that, he has some great stuff, and it scratches so many different itches. Chainsaw and Blood is Chainsaw Man ED, has a great hook and some fun dance rock touches. Mabuta is a really fun, funky pop song that doesn't get as much attention as it deserves. And his best song, Odoriko, which I've talked about at length on this channel before, is an incredible chill pop song. It's honestly the best J-pop song in years, in part because it's the antithesis to all the recent trends. It's understated but incredibly catchy, endlessly re-listenable, and just really, really good, to the point where it's my #1 song of all time on Last.fm now. Like I said earlier though, he just has a marketing problem. Despite being super massive in Japan, there's no hype for him internationally. Part of that is probably his release schedule. He's put out a ton of singles, but it's been 3 years since his last album, and I think that spaced out release schedule makes it harder for him to have one big thing to know him by. I've also just generally seen him make no real push for international success. Like, Otto is doing One Piece, fujii Kaze is big on TikTok and posting all the time in English. Vaundy just seems to have his sights set on Japan right now, which is understandable but sad because he's absolutely got the skills to go viral on the world stage. The closest thing I've seen to promotion out of him is Tower Records with some dubious signs begging you to take his CD home as a souvenir, and a desperate attempt at convincing you that this is, in fact, an amazing, long-selling CD. Next up is a band that already seems to be aiming for a mostly international fan base. That's One OK Rock. These guys just got off a tour with Muse of all bands, who are pretty much rock royalty. I've seen a bunch of people go to that tour and come back talking about how much they like One OK Rock now, and how they're apparently a great live band. My biggest concern with them is that, at least from what I've heard, they're not a great studio album band. They sound a lot like Imagine Dragons. And just like Imagine Dragons, they have a couple good songs, but only a couple. A lot of it is just college football game and bad radio station drivel. They don't have the lows and super annoying tracks like Believer that Imagine Dragons do, but there's a lot of that kind of overblown mid-rock on their albums. And when they aren't sounding like Imagine Dragons, they sound like a worse version of Cold Rain, who's a really good Japanese rock act with international appeal. They're just too metal for this list. One thing that will help One OK Rock is that they're signed to a pretty prominent Western label, that being Fueled by Ramen. That label's at Paramore, 21 Pilots, Panic at the Disco. They're a really big player in that scene of music where they try to convince you it's indie even though it isn't at all. That label has really been able to push them. They might even get on radio someday. Another thing helping them is they do English versions of a lot of their songs, but the problem is that when they're doing that, they lose anything that makes them sound unique. They really just sound like Imagine Dragons Jr. They're gearing up for a big international run, but while all the other artists here could open the floodgates for Japanese music, I fear One OK Rock's success might just remain an isolated incident. Regardless, they seem to have the most direct shot to stardom of anyone, so they've got to be included here. And as mentioned a little earlier, last on this list is fujii Kaze. He's probably the biggest J-pop artist internationally right now, at least the one that hasn't ridden anime at all. He's got no anime songs and still has 10 million monthly listeners. That's impressive. He's got some very accessible Western hits too. I've gotten my mom into Kirari, and not Western, but Matsuri is very big in the parts of Asia that aren't Japan. Indisputably though, his biggest hit has to be Shinu no ga Iwa. That song was massive on TikTok in a way I didn't know a Japanese song could be. It's sitting at 330 million plays on Spotify right now, which is wild considering that's maybe like the 7th best song on the album. Nanan wipes, I'm sorry. Either way, that song is a great 15-second loop that sounds really cool, even if the whole song is pretty much just that loop for 3 minutes. One thing fujii Kaze is fantastic at is marketing himself internationally. He's posting fully in English, he's doing cover albums of American pop songs, he's undoubtedly one of the biggest artists to follow if you don't speak Japanese. And all of that is doing wonders for a casual audience, the kind of people who might find following Japanese artists to be too hard normally. You don't have to seek him out, he's presenting all of it to you in English. That stuff is huge for people who don't follow J-pop closely. I think Vaundy might have the most potential overall, but he's got to learn to market himself and take advantage of his growing popularity. Fujii Kaze doesn't need that because he's already there. I would not be surprised to hear him on the radio within the next like 5 years. I think he's one hit song away from taking that next step, and I'm super excited for it to happen. So yeah, there's my artist that could take J-pop big internationally. I really want it to happen. I'm kind of banking on it happening. Make sure to like, comment, sub, everything fun. I had to walk another 2.5 miles home to make this video, and again, if that's not worthy of a sub, I don't know what is. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. Bye!